Hello, this is Daniel Mart, and today I'm going to be doing another video. This time around I'm going to be doing a versus matchup between Quicksilver from Age of Ultron versus Quicksilver from X-Men Days of Future Past. So yeah, I've been wanting to make this one for a while. I rewatched Days of Future Past already, and um, so yeah, I rewatched Days of Future Past already, and I've also already rewatched for like the third time Age of Ultron just a couple days ago. So now I'm finally ready to do this list. So yeah, basically I have this divided into 12 sections, 12 parts, um, like 12 possible parts. Now this isn't gonna be like a death battle, who would kill, which Quicksilver would win in a death battle. No, this is gonna be who is the better Quicksilver, in my opinion. Now, now don't get it confused. Now don't get confused. Favorite from better. Now, in my opinion, my favorite Quicksilver would have to be probably like most people, the Days of Future Past one, probably. Now, however, there is a difference in better. Just because something is better doesn't mean it's my favorite, and vice versa. Just because something's my favorite, it's not the best or whatever. So yeah, I'm just gonna say that out loud, straight up, just in case. So yeah, I have my 12 sections. The first one is actor, the person who portrays it, the actor. Second one is looks. How do they resemble compared to how they look resembling the actual character in the comics? Their suits, because their suits are actually a pretty huge part in the movies, and actually many people actually had issues with both Quicksilver suits. So I want to see tell you guys which one's more comic book accurate, etc. Which one's more likable, fan reaction, which ones did fans like more, which one's more memorable, which ones had a bigger impact on the overall story, which ones were funnier. That's a huge one. Funnier. Funnier. Which ones had their time worth. Basically, unlike memorable, which is which one most people remember. Um, Times worth is like depending on the amount of times they had throughout the movie. Which one do I think had used their time the best in that? Teams, which team was better. So basically, that won't be like Avengers versus X-Men. Which whose origin story was better, and the story overall. Basically, what I mean now, origin story. I mean like when I mean origin story and story are two different things. In this case, basically, for origin story, what I'm gonna be saying for origin story, how do I say this? It's basically how they were before how they were before they met the actual teams. So how they were before they met the Avengers or X-Men's Future Past, and then the overall story is basically the origin story and the impact and memory. It's basically everything combined. So the story is like the overall arching one. It's like everything combined. So yeah, now first off, as I said before, the actors. So yeah, the first one will be the actors who portrays them. So yeah, so for the X-Men Days of Future Past, we have Evan Peters portraying Quicksilver. For the Age of Ultron version, we have Aaron Taylor Johnson portraying them. Now, they're both quality actors, in my opinion. They're both good actors. Evan Peters, he's most known for being on American Horror Story, which is completely different from obviously um, these types of films, from superhero films. He's best known for American Horror Story. He's been there, I think, all 4 or 5 seasons up to this point. I don't watch it, so don't quote me on that. So yeah, he's also been in Kick-Ass, the movie Kick-Ass, and he's also been in some other movies that are here and there. Uh, Prior to X-Men: Days of Future Past, Kick-Ass, Never Back Down. I heard that was a pretty decent movie. So he's been around before X-Men Days of Future Past. Now when we go to Aaron Taylor Johnson, he too was in Kick-Ass. Um, he was in Kick-Ass, but he's also been in a few other things that are notable in my opinion. Aside from Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass 2, he was in Godzilla. He did a cameo in Winter Soldier. Yeah, Winter Soldier, and he's been on, and I think he, if I'm not mistaken, he's done voice acting for Family Guy every here and there. So he again has been around. Now, which one's the better actor in my opinion? I think they're both quality actors in my opinion. American Horror Story, when it comes to Evan Peters, American Horror Story does have a huge following from what I know, and I am probably going to check it out when the next season comes around, as that is an anthology series. And some of the other stuff he's been in, again, Kick-Ass, I think is the other most notable thing he's been in. Now, when you go to Aaron Taylor Johnson, however, he's been in more memorable things, in my opinion, to say the least. Again, Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass 2, but he's also been in Winter Soldier and Godzilla. Done Family Guy a bit. So yeah, so when it comes to that, I think I'd have to give actor who has the most prowess. I guess that's probably a bad word. But which actor is more experienced, basically. I would have to go with Age of Ultron, Quicksilver from Age of Ultron, because of Aaron Taylor Johnson and just how much he's actually done in his acting career. Now, number two, part two, is looks. Now, who looks closer to the comic book counterpart? And in my opinion, I'm gonna also combine this with the third section is gonna be suits, so they are gonna be very similar. Basically, the look for Quicksilver in the comics is basically white hair, so white hair, and basically the suit is basically like what's the word? It's basically like I'm forgetting the word. It's like a speed and like this a speedo? No, not a speedo. But it's basically the same material they use to make a speedo. I had it right before. So basically, who looks more like a comic book counterpart? Evan Peters. He has the long hair, which that is correct. The long hair. He does have glasses, which in some interpretations, Quicksilver is shown to have glasses. However, he does wear like this silver jacket with like I believe with this like black shirt and jeans. Which Quicksilver doesn't really wear in the comics. He wears, again, as I said before, a different suit, like a tighter suit. Go to Aaron Taylor Johnson. He has basically a suit similar to what he would wear in the comics. That tight shirt, which I can't think of the name for the life of me right now, and some again pants made out of similar material. Usually, they're one piece. However, in Age of Ultron, it's a two-part suit. So yeah, so I think I have to say for looks and suit, which are two different parts, I would have to give both of them to Aaron Taylor Johnson, as well as he does look more physically looks more like the actual character in the comics, and his suit also resembles it more in the comics. Also, because Quicksilver in the comics, he is more muscular. He is lean, but he is more muscular. Something that Evan Peters does miss. He isn't as muscular as he is. Now, so far the first three parts, actor, looks, and suits, has gone to Age of Ultron, Quicksilver from Age of Ultron. Now on to number 4, likable. Who is more likable? So start off with X-Men. I mean, the guy has like almost 15 minutes on screen, and he's instantly likable. He's really funny. Quicksilver in X-Men Days of Future Past, he's really funny. He has one of the best scenes ever, and yeah. Is basically he's likable. Everybody likes him, and yeah. However, you go to Aaron Taylor Johnson's interpretation of Quicksilver, and he starts off as an enemy to the Avengers. He basically starts off as an enemy to the Avengers, and he really doesn't become really that likable up until halfway. And the thing is that many people really thought that his character in the movie was useless. Many people didn't really understand why he had died. That he could have gone into another movie and still lived and maybe become more likable. So when it comes to likability, I'd have to give it to Evan Peters, the X-Men Days of Future Past version one, as he was more likable. Fan reaction, who the fans basically react more towards. Again, that one I'd have to give it to Evan Peters. Similar situation to likability, because again, many people really thought that the Age of Ultron Quicksilver was useless, and not many people understood his death or why he had to die. more like one of those things that just happened because it had to happen because of randomness. You know, the X-Men Days of Future Past, when he didn't die, people really loved him. The Age of Ultron, the Age of Ultron Quicksilver, I liked him, but many people were like, some people liked him, some people didn't really care for him. So yeah, now who was more memorable? Now this one is tough, and I'm gonna be honest and say I actually had to put this one on a draw. I think both of them are memorable in their own ways. Here's the thing. When it comes to the Evan Peters X-Men Days of Future Past, past one, past Quicksilver, you have to admit, despite the fact that his most memorable scene is the one in the kitchen where he's running around in a circle, just beating up the other cops, he does have some other memorable scenes, such as when he first introduces himself to Wolverine. That was pretty funny, just running around, getting everybody's stuff, Professor X's wallet, and searching them, making sure they're all okay, and also saving Magneto from the Pentagon. Those were some pretty good scenes. And the thing is, he had about 15 minutes on screen, and people really enjoyed him and really remembered him. Go to Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver. The thing is that he had a whole entire movie to become memorable, and people to remember him being in that movie. So he has a whole entire movie. So in that, I have to give that to both of them, a point to each of them. So far, Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver, Age of Ultron Quicksilver has 4 points, while the X-Men Days of Future Past one has 3 points. Now, who has bigger impact? That is going to be my 7th point. Who had the bigger impact on the story? And that one, as I said before, X-Men Days of Future Past Quicksilver, he was there for 15 minutes, but he really didn't do much of an impact on the story compared to that of Aaron Taylor Johnson. I mean, yes, he did save Magneto, but he really doesn't have that much of an impact yet. Now, as the series progresses, the X-Men series progresses, I do believe he will have a bigger impact. However, as of now, I'd have to give the points to Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, as he did have a bigger impact. Also, because Scarlet Witch, his sister Scarlet Witch is there. He helped create Vision to some extent, and Ultron to a lesser extent. And he just helped Hawkeye live, and Hawkeye's son is kind of named after him. He has a bigger impact in the overarching story, and with the Infinity Gems, he could come back. Now that's not okay. And now the X-Men Days of Future Past Quicksilver, he can also come back. However, it's not going to be as interesting as Aaron Taylor Johnson's character if you were to come back to life due to Infinity Gems, because then who resurrected him was a Thanos, and that caused other problems. So who has a bigger impact? I would have to say the Aaron Taylor Johnson one. Now, who was funnier? Straight up, I have to say that I have to give this one to Evan Peters. He was funnier. I mean, all his lines were just like wisecracking. They were all funny. He even says the one like Magneto that my mom used to know a guy that used to move metal or something like that. That was pretty funny. And I mean, and his comedic timing is just hilarious. When you cut to Aaron Taylor Johnson's, I actually read this. He has less than 10 lines throughout the whole movie, and most of them are just like a sentence. So I mean, there's not really anything funny out of that. I mean, really I think the one time I ever laughed at him, or of something he has said was his first appearance, where he basically kicks Hawkeye's ass due to his speed, but he still kicks Hawkeye's ass, and he's like, you didn't see that coming. He kind of just runs away. I'm going to say I chuckled at that. But however, compared that to Evan Peters, I was laughing my ass on that. So I would have to give that one to Evan Peters. On Funnier. Now, who had their time worth? So yeah, similar to memorable, I think they were both memorable. It's similar to memorable, similar situation. It's a draw because Evan Peters, he had 15 minutes to make the character likable and memorable, and he was able to do that in the 15 minutes. Cut to Aaron Taylor Johnson's, and he had an entire movie, and for the most part, he basically did what he had to do. He was there, he was good, at the end, the fight in Wakanda, I want to say, it's not Wakanda, it's in Africa, but I forget the actual city. That was pretty good, and he did a lot of major stuff there. Aside from letting Hawkeye survive, he got many people off the land and whatnot. off the floating lands, and he did help in the downfall of Ultron. Also, he went from this villain at the beginning of the movie. He went from this this villain, and at the end of the movie, he transformed into this hero. So you do see also character development throughout it all. So again, I really do think that's another great perspective of it for Timesworth. So in that, who used their time on screen better, I would have to say that's a draw for both of them. So far, Aaron Taylor Johnson's um, Quicksilver has 6 points, and the X-Men Days of Future Past Quicksilver has 5 points. So yeah, now teams. Who was on the better team? Basically, Avengers versus X-Men. In my opinion, this one has to go to the Aaron Taylor Johnson one as well, because in that one, at least you had a team. When you compare it to Quicksilver, he really wasn't part of the X-Men. I mean, Magneto was there, Wolverine was there, and you really just had Magneto, Professor Xavier, and Wolverine. Despite the fact that they are all badass, yeah, it's like 3 people versus the Avengers, who had Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch. Um, it really just doesn't compare. And in that, obviously, in this situation, um, the Avengers would end up winning over the X-Men. Even no matter how tough Wolverine is, at the end it'd probably be like Wolverine versus Vision and Hulk. And yeah, so at that one for teams, I'd have to say goes to the Avengers in this one, because at least their team is prominent in there, and at least that Quicksilver, that version of Quicksilver, did interact with the teams. And also, furthermore, he was also for a small time in a team or in a pact with Ultron, so he was in 2 teams. Opposed to the Quicksilver from X-Men Days of Future Past, he was barely in the X-Men to begin with. So yeah, now whose origin story was better? So yeah, basically for this one, what I'm going to be looking for origin story wise, which one most closely resembles the comics. Now Evan Peters, the one in X-Men Days of Future Past, he is a mutant. He's a mutant. He was born with powers, so he can run fast. When you go to Aaron Taylor Johnson, he is more of a lab experiment. He's more of a lab experiment. You had the people from Captain America basically experiment on him and his sister to a lesser extent, and that's how he got his super speed. So in this case, since I am going for comic book accuracy, I would have to give this one to Evan Peters, Quicksilver from the Evan Peters Quicksilver from X-Men Days of Future Past, as that one is more comic book accurate, as he was born as a mutant. So and so was he in this movie. Now their overarching story, basically in this one, the story in this movie and future movies to come. Which one do I think will be in the long run? Whose story will be better? Whose story will be more developed, etc. So for X-Men Days of Future Past Quicksilver, he was shown in there for about 15 minutes and for about a couple seconds towards the end. One thing that many people have pointed out is that this is probably true, and this is probably going to come into play later in the films, which I wouldn't be surprised. It may seem like a minor detail right now, however, I won't be surprised if it does come into play in the future and future movies. Towards the end of the movie, Quicksilver, Evan Peters, he is holding this little girl. So yeah, now many people say that can't be Scarlet Witch, because Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are they're like fraternal twins. However, he also does have another sister who is able to, I forgot her name. I think her name is like Psychosis or something like that. Psychosis or something like that. Basically, she's able to move and interpret radio waves or something like that, like radio waves. So yeah, many people say that probably will come into play. Also, the X-Men films, there's gonna be between 2015 and 2020, there's gonna be tons of X-Men films with Deadpool, Gambit, X-Men Apocalypse, and Wolverine 3, and who else knows what they could do a spin-off of. Switch to the Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's dead. That's the thing. That's a major problem with this one. He is dead. he's dead. Now some people do say that his story will go on through Scarlet Witch, which would be an interesting perspective. That would be interesting in my opinion. Now I would like to see that, see his story. I mean, the thing is that he's dead. I mean, there's really no way to put it. He's dead. So his story more or less ends at Age of Ultron. The only way I can see them continuing his story after Age of Ultron is if in Infinity Wars Part 1 or Part 2, preferably Part 1 because it would make more sense, but the cost of doing Part 2, preferably is if you have Thanos and get like the Soul Gem or something, one of the Infinity Gems, and revive him basically, which one of the gems is able to revive people. So that would be interesting in my opinion. That would be really interesting. So yeah, but the thing is, a major hindrance here is that the fact that the Age of Ultron Quicksilver is ultimately dead, as opposed to the X-Men Days of Future Past one where he's still living, he's still running. So yeah, I mean, in that one I would have to give it to the X-Men Days of Future Past. X-Men Days of Future Past Quicksilver, because since we don't know what will happen to him if he is dead. I mean, the Aaron Taylor Johnson one, we don't know if his story is going to continue since he's dead, as opposed to the Evan Peters one. He's not dead yet. We don't know if he's going to be killed off in the future, but since he's not currently dead, there's still many places they could go with him. They could turn him into a villain, and he could join the Brotherhood, or he could join the X-Men. So yeah, so as it is, the X-Men Quicksilver has 1 point for likability, 1 point for fan reaction, 1 point for memorability or how memorable he is, 1 point for funnier, who's funniest, 1 point for times worth, who had their times worth, 1 point for origin story, and 1 point for their overall story. So that is 7. Now the Age of Ultron Quicksilver, he has 1 point for actor, 1 point for looks, 1 point for suits, 1 point for memorable, 1 point for impact, 1 point for times worth, 1 point for teams. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, there's another point. I swear to God, there was another point here. I counted 8 2 seconds ago. I mean, they can't both be 7. Here. And okay, tiebreaker. This is how I'm going to do tiebreaker. Which one was my favorite in general? Let's go with that. My favorite in general between the two of them is the X-Men Days of Future Past one. Yeah, actually didn't notice there was 7. It was divided by 7 both sides. And yes, there are 2 sections where I couldn't choose one over the other, so I had to give them a tie for each of them. There's 2 sections where I did that. Times worth and memorability, which was more memorable, so I kept those in a tie. And I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to choose one or the other over them. So the final option, the final one is who is my favorite. That is going to be the tiebreaker. Who is my favorite? My favorite is the X-Men Days of Future Past one. So in that, X-Men Days of Future Past gets an extra point. Hence, now it is Age of Ultron at 7, X-Men Days of Future Past at 8. In that, the X-Men Days of Future Past is the better Quicksilver. So yeah, basically for this video, I'm gonna be honest and say I actually thought there was 8 on one side before I did this video, because I had the checklist right here. I had a checklist right here of each side. I thought I counted 8 on one side. I'm not gonna say which side that was. But yeah, comment down below on your thoughts on who the better Quicksilver is, the Age of Ultron one or the X-Men Days of Future Past one. Comment all that down below, let me know. Like the video, share on Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, or whatever you guys prefer. And aside from that, that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.